What's up everyone? Today I'm going to be covering week 5 of the team tour. Today I was matched up against Fernanch, who I believe is actually a pretty decent player. But before we hop into the game, as always, let me first cover how my teammates did. First of all is Mav, who actually beat Pooballs 3-1 in the puppy pack. Super impressive in my opinion. I believe I have a losing record against Pooballs, so to be able to be beating him 3-1 like that, super impressive from Mav. I'm super happy to have him as my teammate. Next up we have Sincere on Star Pack, and unfortunately he did lose 0-3 to Bird Boy Man, which happens from time to time, no need to get discouraged. Unfortunately, however, our boss man Tyler also lost 1-3 to Cheese Master in the Golden Pack. So the current record I believe is 2-1 in favor of the opposing team. We're actually losing right now, and my game is going to decide whether we lose the week or not. I don't believe Echo has played yet. I believe he will soon though, at the time of recording at least. So yeah, I wanted to show off this game right here, and you'll see a very special surprise midway through the game, but for now let's hop into the game. Since it's Unicorn Pack, I'm going to be playing a little bit slowly through these turns, hoping to explain as best as I can what I know. Here we actually find a double Mermail in the initial shop, which many would argue is one of the best tier 1s for versus. And that is because the best build you could go for is the XP build, where you level up mid-battle, and this has an insanely powerful ability that whenever you level up it gains temporary stats. It doesn't really matter that they're temporary because you'll be leveling up every single battle, so you'll be getting a big unit basically every time. But the only downside is that on turn 1 it's probably going to make you lose, so here what I do is actually I pass it up and instead I take double Archimedes, and I guess I set it to a super fast mode because I didn't know it was even possible, but here we go. And yeah, here we find our opponent running something pretty similar to us with the double Archimedes. Is it Alchimedes or Archimedes? Actually, let me read that. Alchimedes, okay. Its ability is that it gives the friend a handsome mana, and this actually benefits from gaining mana. It deals damage like a mosquito, and mana itself also deals pretty nice damage, so I think Archimedes isn't the worst pet that you can be picking up. And here is actually a pretty important trick that I learned from the Unicorn Pack 1v1s, and that is that you want to be leveling up on turn 2. Why is that? Well, you see right here we find two excellent units, the Bigfoot and the Ogo Pogo, which are two units you want on your team basically every single game. And I will show you what actually you want. You want this right here, you want this right here, which thankfully we did manage to get both of these. You also like a Lucky Cat, also something like a Drop Bear and a Thunderbird are not awful. So I think you have 5 decent hits, I would say, and the other 5 are not too impressive, but at least they're not terrible, so I think it's worth leveling up. Especially because if you take a look at the tier 3 units, this actually I was pretty hyped for initially, but it turns out it's actually pretty weak in the Unicorn Pack itself, because you really like tempo with the XP build, and this permanent +1/+1 isn't going to do you any good. This is actually pretty decent, like a Nox, but once again it can be destroyed at the start of battle with some snipers, like our opponent's doggy right here, the Warg. And you also have the Wyvern, which I believe is the best tier 3 in the entire pack, but I think it's pretty unlikely for you to hit that on turn 3, so instead we level up on turn 2 instead. And thankfully we did get lucky, we did pick up the Bigfoot. We're going to go for another Axo Hound, hoping that dissuades us or dissuades our opponent from getting copies of units. And actually it didn't stop him at all, but thankfully because we get the double Axo Hound we actually managed to win right there. And this is basically the best case scenario. We win twice out of the opening and we get an early Bigfoot. So we are ahead on the economy, and as well as that we are ahead on tempo. Gingerbread Man, it's the best perk in the entire game, I think. Or maybe the best tier 2 perk at least. And it gives you 1 XP in the middle of the fight, which is super nice, especially for some of these units like the Lucky Cat that we took right here, which is going to give us some gold and it's going to gain some stats mid-fight if we manage to play our cards right. Unfortunately here, I thought actually for a second we were going to lose, but we ended up winning, surprisingly enough. I think that was actually a pretty lucky mana hit right there. But yeah, the plan is get this up to level 1.5, so it starts giving us gold every single turn. Unfortunately, we didn't get lucky with a Lucky Cat, but we did find a triple Bigfoot, which we are going to take. If all 3 of these fail, that means 3 extra rolls for next turn, which is going to be super nice. It's looking like we're going to lose, unfortunately, because he got an Ogo Pogo plus a Lucky Cat that gets to level 2 and that is massive stats. Not really a big deal though. We are going to take our level here, hoping for a Cyclops. Let's take a look at the levels. There are actually multiple good things that you can find. The Cyclops obviously being the best one. But you also have stuff like the Vampire Bat and the Visitor if you want to go for an ailment sort of build. I don't think that's the best strategy you could go for, but if the shop gives it to you, then why not? You also have the Chimera plus Rock combo, which is some insane summon potential, and I have lost many games because of the Chimera right here, bringing multiple 50 HP summons on like turn 9 or something. So very deadly pet, especially if you can get it early on. I'm not the best at playing it, however, so I just stick with the XP builds. Sadly, we didn't level up into anything useful right there, so we're just going to speed up the game. Hoping to find a Lucky Cat right here just to get it up to level 2 mid-fight. We also get very lucky with the shop right here, take a look. Multiple Bigfoots, a Lucky Cat, an Ogo Pogo. Our opponent is getting pretty lucky as well, but thankfully our positioning is super solid and we actually managed to snag a victory. So yeah, if we manage to get a level on this turn, I'm still going to take it probably just because the tier 5 units are not that great, and thankfully we do find the Cyclops, just that we need it. I think we're going to be having a pretty good time. Our opponent once again going for something very similar to ourselves, but our positioning and our stats just a slightly bit better, and you can see right here he is on 2 hearts remaining. So I think we can make a much easier pivot than him, and that's going to make me really happy. But I think a special turn is coming up pretty soon. For now we're just rolling for levels for turn 9. I think I'm ahead, so I don't mind greeding at all. Our opponent does have only tempo and gold generation in the Lucky Cat, so I don't think he's that far ahead. Unfortunately here he leveled up into a bad dog, however, and look at this, it spawns a great one and it wipes the entire enemy team and my team but itself, and it's actually hilarious. I still don't know how to play around that. I guess you don't really play around that, it's just a big unit that gets to deal 6 damage to your entire team and just claim a victory, but I guess that's what makes it a good level up perhaps. But yeah, he needed that tempo and he actually, let me pause the game right here, he found a slot on this turn, incredibly enough. Like, I remember during the game he like texted me, he was like, oh no, the worst thing ever just happened, and he rolls up next turn with this on his team. I wanted to make it difficult for him but possible for him to win with this slot, so he feels a great sense of enjoyment. I don't think he would have been happy if I threw the game, so I just played normally. And you can see right here now that the Lucky Cat is getting some pretty decent stats. We're actually starting to draw our opponent instead of losing, which is super good. The ability of the book also expired, so now I don't have to worry about getting great one and wiped entirely. Here I'm taking a double level up, hoping to find a Team Spirit or a Quetzalcoatl. I'm still having difficulties pronouncing that, so please keep correcting me in the comments. But you can see, I think we're doing pretty nice, especially when the mana snipes are Bigfoot and give us some extra free rolls. So yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty clean victory from here. All that we need is just to push for a little bit of tempo, and we do so buying the gingerbread man. We also do find the Quetzalcoatl, which we are going to take. It's going to level up the lucky cat and it's going to give us some extra stats and mana. And I believe this should be a wrap. If I can manage to slow down the game though, I think this should be right. Look at this, he actually picked up a werewolf because it's an odd number turn, it's turn 10 and that gains double stats. So he was hoping for a draw perhaps and he can start improving his team, but unfortunately for him, I believe after all of the buffs go through, we're actually going to be winning pretty easily. As you can see, we take out the ogre right here, sadly we take out the sloth, and our Bigfoot doesn't even get to faint and give us free rolls, but it's no big deal because we took the game. Yay! And I believe we played a best of 5 and it ended in a 3-1 in my favor. So the overall score for the team tour is 2-2. The game is resting on Echo's hands right now, so I'm hoping he performs. He should be, he's been super reliable all season, so I have a lot of trust in him, and I'm sorry I just picked the mic, but bear with me, this is the end of the video. If you liked what you saw, I hope that you like, sub, do all the generic stuff, and I will talk to you next time. Take care.